The Horses by Edwin Muir. Barely a 12-month after the 7 Days' War that put the world to sleep, late in the evening, the strange horses came. By then, we had made our covenant with silence. But in the first few days, it was so still. We listened to our breathing and were afraid. On the second day, the radios failed. We turned the knobs. No answer. On the third day, a warship passed us, heading north. Dead bodies piled on the deck. On the sixth day, a plane plunged over us into the sea. Thereafter, nothing. The radio's dumb. And still they stand in the corners of our kitchens, and stand, perhaps turned on, in a million rooms all over the world. But now, if they should speak, if, on a sudden, they should speak again, we would not listen. We would not let it bring that bad old world that swallowed its children quick at one great gulp. We would not have it again. Sometimes we think of the nations lying asleep, curled blindly in impenetrable sorrow, and then the thought confounds us with its strangeness. The tractors lie about our fields. At evening, they look like dank sea monsters crouched and waiting. We leave them where they are and let them rust. They'll moulder away and be like other loam. We make our oxen drag our rusty ploughs, long laid aside. We have gone back far past our father's land. And then, that evening, late in the summer, the strange horses came. We hear the distant tapping on the road, a deepening drumming. It stopped, went on again, and at the corner changed to a hollow thunder. We saw their heads like a wild wave charging, and were afraid. We had sold our horses in our father's time to buy new tractors. Now they were strange to us, as fabulous steeds set on an ancient shield, or illustrations in a book of knights. We did not dare go near them. Yet they waited, stubborn and shy, as if they had been sent by an old command to find our whereabouts, and that long lost archaic companionship. In the first moment, we had never a thought that they were creatures to be owned and used. Among them were some 6 colts dropped in some wilderness of the broken world, yet new, as if they had come from their own Eden. Since then, they have pulled our ploughs and borne our loads, but that free servitude still can pierce our hearts. Our life is changed. Their coming, our beginning. Welcome. The sins of the world are evident in Edwin Muir's poem, The Horses, written in 1956. In it, we are given a post-apocalyptic world, a devastated world, following an atomic war, which put the world to sleep. In the poem, all means of technological communication fail, following this wholesale devastation. The radios dumb as they stand in the corner, and there is no means of calling for help. This feeds the reader's imagination with images that are frighteningly too close for comfort, following the Russian-Ukrainian war and Russia's threats to deploy nuclear warfare. This carries with it the threat to wipe out the entire human race. And this comes when we are still in the throes of a global pandemic. And this carries with it its own fears for the survival of the human race. The narrative follows the collective mind of the survivors in an eerily silent world. How would you picture developments from this moment? How would you picture an attempt to continue when so much has been lost? The bad old world that swallowed up its children quick at one gulp harkens back to Greek mythology, to the figure of Cronus. Cronus was the leader of the Titans, the son of Gaia, the earth, and Uranus, the sky, who swallowed his children as they were being born to him. They cannot wish to have it again, this old menacing world. It must seem surreal to be caught up in this world of devastation in an eerie silence, not wanting to go back to the bad old world, but unsure how to move forward. Edwin Muir chooses this moment to have his narrator recollect the event that started next. Late one summer, the strange horses came. We heard a distant tapping on the road, a deepening drumming. It stopped, went on again, and at the corner changed to a hollow thunder. We saw their heads like a wild wave charging, and were afraid. They see the horses as fabulous steeds set on an ancient shield, or illustrations in a book of nights. They dare not go near them. They admire them from a distance, as if they are some mythological creatures come to deliver them. Yet they waited, stubborn and shy, as if they had been sent by an old commando to find our whereabouts. The reality is, there is no one left to search for them. The old military language is used as if there is no language that can adequately describe the beginning of a new world. Slowly, that long-lost archaic companionship is re-established. In this moment of rekindling a joyous connection with creatures from nature, we are told, in the first moment, we had never a thought that they were creatures to be owned and used. It is interesting that people had turned away from nature to embrace new technologies. But now the tractors are described as lying about in the fields, looking like dank sea monsters crouched and waiting. The move back to nature, or to an Arcadian ecology, as longed for in Wordsworth's sonnet, "The world is too much with us," is held out as a mythic possibility in this new world where half a dozen colts dropped in some wilderness of the broken world, yet new as if they had come from their own Eden. This offers us a glimpse of a new utopia. But, like in Wordsworth's sonnet or in The Tempest, we can only half believe this is possible. Since then, they have pulled our ploughs and borne our loads, but that free servitude still can pierce our hearts. Our life is changed, their coming, our beginning. Muir has created a myth, a fable. He vividly portrays in literal and symbolic terms both the eerie, devastated world and the arrival of the horses through the collective mind of the survivors. He captures that terrifying and thrilling moment when they are able to put the past behind them, rekindle that archaic companionship, and look to the future. Please remember to click the bell below and subscribe and visit me at my website, formuse.org.